that's where I know God is there for me. Like, I don't even know why I deserve that, but he shows up in those moments where I can't even like walk or think because of the pain or whatever's happening. That's where he comes in.
Welcome to Matters of Soul Importance, where we dive deeply into topics of both earthly and eternal consequence. I'm Roxanne Solonen, faith columnist and features writer for The Forum, author and speaker. I first met Joanne Poehls when she was invited by another friend to go to a silent retreat in Maryvale Retreat Center in Valley City around 2020. Later, we became part of the same book study group, Via Maria, through which we read spiritual books together and glean from their wisdom, helping us navigate the joys and sorrows of this earthly veil together with assistance from our heavenly helpers. But we really bonded a couple summers ago when a planned trip I was to take with my husband with the Diocese of Fargo to experience the Eucharistic revival in Indianapolis diverged a bit, leaving my husband at home to deal with various challenges on the home front that needed his eye. When I mentioned my disappointment that this pilgrimage might not happen the way I'd hoped, Joanne prayed with me for God's will to be done, then mentioned that if Troy couldn't join me, she'd be willing to go. This was on a summer evening, just days before the buses were to be loaded. And a few days later, we'd arranged everything to make it happen. Suddenly, this trip wasn't a couple's trip for me and my husband, but a trip to explore a new part of the country with a friend who was becoming more endeared to me. Together, we experienced bus breakdowns and a host of mini miracles that convinced us God had planned the whole thing all along. We'll talk a little bit about that adventure today, but there's so much more to share separate from our friendship. I will say this, you get to a certain point in your life and you feel like you've met your best friends already, but God has a way of bringing renewal throughout our lives. He knows what we need in any given season, and he knew that Joanne would become a dear friend to me in short order. Joanne has a beautiful soul and has already taught me a lot about the topic of today, hope in suffering. What does that look like exactly? Well, to me, it looks like Joanne, because even though life has knocked her down hard a few times, she carries within her the light of Christ in such a vivid way that you can't help but be drawn into the same. I look forward to sharing this special lady with you all today, and if you listen carefully, I have a feeling you'll come away with a few new ways to look at life's trials and see them as a way to grow even closer to God's heart. Without further delay, let's meet the lovely Joanne Poehls. Well, welcome, Joanne, to Matters of Soul Importance. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thank you, Roxanne, for having me on your show.
This is so nice to have such a good friend sitting just a few feet from me. So yes. I'm excited. I consider you one of the hidden gems in my life. Like, some podcasters have these like famous people on there and everyone clamors to go listen and the ratings go up and all of that. But I have a few sort of known people, but I really kind of like to tap into the unknowns, the people that I know through their heart.
That.
Yes.
Appreciate that.
And so I'm excited to introduce you to the listeners today. So let's just start then by talking a little bit about Joanne and how you started in this world and a little bit about your family growing up in faith. So wherever you want to kind of start with that.
Okay. So I grew up 12 miles southwest of Fergus Falls, Minnesota, and I grew up on a farm, and my dad was a grain farmer. Mom was a homemaker. Grew up Catholic all our life. Dad was the Catholic, and then Mom became Catholic after she married my dad. And so I grew up with 6 siblings, and I'm an identical twin. So we were the end of those 6.
We're going to talk more about that because that's always fascinating, I think, for anyone to learn about twins and identical twins. And you came into the world with a friend, you know?
Yes.
So
yes,
so cool.
It was a nice way because my 4 siblings were a lot older than me. And so then I kind of they were almost like out of high school, a lot older. And so then when we were growing up, it was just me and her and my mom and dad almost, because the rest of them graduated from high school and left. And
that was kind of nice for your parents too, because you had a little playmate right there.
Right.
Yeah.
So I didn't know, I had nothing lacking, and I had my parents and my my twin, and it was a good time. We were together all the time, and I had no loss for brothers or sisters.
What were some of your favorite memories of growing up on a farm and just that life, the rural life, which nowadays it seems so mysterious to people as the cities grow more and more populated?
Yeah, I definitely feel it's a very blessed way to grow up. Just being in the outdoors and seeing how the crops come together, and the gardens we used to grow with the flowers and the vegetables, and the process. We used to have some livestock, and it just is because, you get to experience that in addition to city life because you go to school in the city, and it was a great way to grow up, and seeing the cow milked, and the horses fed, and we had pigs too, and chickens, and
wow.
We had quite a menagerie of animals too, in addition to being the grains that Dad would do, and learning how to run a combine or drive a tractor. Just the outdoors, riding bike out in the open, long bus rides to school, but it was very a blessed way, wholesome, and just to experience those gardens and all the good food from that. I just felt very, and we were very outdoorsy, a lot of hunters in our family. So then we got to see that part of things too. And so
I had a good friend that lived in the country, and we were in the city, which it wasn't a very big city, but I came to really love it. And sometimes I would kind of go off on my own. I just remember this one time there was a pond, and I kind of just snuck off by myself. I didn't really know at the time that I was an introvert and how much like that alone time and time with nature like filled me up. But I just remember feeling this connection, I guess, with God. I was really young.
Right.
But, and I really wished for that. She had horses too. And just, it was a very carefree, fun existence. Later in high school, I felt bad for her because it was so hard. Like, I just lived a block from school, and then okay, this wouldn't be as fun now to be in the country. But there was definitely that time where I got to appreciate what that would be like, and the serenity of it and everything. And of course, there's a lot of messiness to farm life too, and it's not easy all the time. But what about the faith? What was that like for you? Your mom was a convert, so did she struggle with that, or did she kind of ease into that pretty well?
Right. I guess I don't know a lot about how her faith came about. She was 34 when I was born. So I guess I didn't really channel into that. I just knew that she was like the motivated Catholic as ever. Like, she did everything. Like, she was involved with many things in her life in her Catholic faith, sewing groups and running funerals, and she was very on fire for her faith. So I drew that. I mean, I know she had just a deep, abiding love for Jesus, and I picked up on all that. So that's where my faith-based came from.
Today we're going to talk about hope, and what does hope in suffering look like? I know you've told me before that hope is one of your favorite words, and I feel that coming through you. So we're going to talk about different touch points in your life where you had to draw on that. I was going to wait on the mother thing, but I think it might be appropriate to start there if you don't mind, because this month is would have been her birthday.
Yes, her birthday's May 29th.
Yeah. Oh my heavens. So this is well timed.
Yeah.
And also we just passed Mother's Day, and it was your first Mother's Day without your mom. So can you tell me a little bit more about her name? She has a really interesting name, I think.
Yep.
And then just in a way, I think the younger kids sometimes get the best in a big family. I feel like our younger kids kind of got the best of us as parents because we were more mature by the time they came along.
Yeah.
And the other ones, we were just kind of scrambling through it. And I'm like, oh man, what a mess that was, having 5 kids and trying to figure it all out. And then things start to taper off and get a little more sane. And then the younger 2 are there and kind of so you kind of got, I bet, the best kind of that mature mom that she was kind of like sure of herself at that point.
Right. Yes. My mom was she was just good at everything, good at cooking, good at growing plants. I mean, she, there's nothing that seemed like she couldn't do. She was good at sewing. She was just a trooper, she kept the books for the farm, and she was very regulated. So I do not know any point in time that she maybe wasn't like disorganized. I can't even imagine that with my mother. Yeah, it was, she kind of, when Jane and I came along, my twin, Mom was kind of more, she just kind of did everything herself, like rather than more of a teacher. She was kind of more at that point. With the other kids, it was more like she was the teacher for them. Whereas me and Jane, I don't know if she maybe felt overwhelmed with two at one time.
Probably.
So then she probably kind of felt like, I'll just do it myself. You know what I mean?
But she was a teacher through just modeling it, right?
Oh,
like
yes,
you watched
she
her.
was just a teacher, through all that and stuff.
And her name?
Geneva.
See, I think that's a cool name.
Yeah.
Geneva.
Her name was Geneva. She was just the greatest. Her faith was so strong, and she loved Jesus, and it was awesome. She was awesome, Mom.
One thing has struck me about since I've known you, which hasn't been 5 years or something, I can't remember, but you've always spoken so well of your mom, and I know there's a lot of difficult relationships with daughters and moms and everything, but you have had just always this just pure thought about your mom. And I remember you describing her like she's so beautiful. And I think when I heard you say that, I think you were speaking of interior and exterior.
Right. Yep.
But just this beautiful admiration for that. And I think it's what a lovely time to celebrate that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this is her month. Yep, she was beautiful inside and out. I don't think there was anyone that disliked her. I mean, she really was. She put all her effort into people and joy. She was very, simple, she wasn't complicated to people or anything. And she just enjoyed people and wanted to serve them and do her best for everybody.
I do know, too, and I don't know how much you want to share about this, but I know she had, her life had some challenges earlier on, right? And so I bring that up because we're talking about hope and suffering. And sometimes, life is going to bring challenges.
Right.
There's no way we're going to get through this life. It's going to be this utopia. That's really the point of life, is to face those challenges. And how do we do that? And that's where our faith comes in, right?
Yep.
Could you just share just a little bit about that so we can kind of get a sense how this woman became such a beautiful mother to you, but it's there was some setbacks too in her own life, maybe to propel her towards God.
Yeah. When she was, growing up, her mom died when she was 12 years old. And so she became an orphan. And so she was separated from her two brothers at that stage. And then she had to go to live with different relatives and take care of their children, be like a babysitter. So she experienced different things that way, I'm sure. And then with meeting my dad, she was 18. So then she got, old enough so then she could work. She went to work at a Woolworth store in Fergus Falls. And that's, she met my dad at a dance and everything. And, but she, she had to be on her own. She was like an orphan at a very young age. And so then when my dad came and met, and then she became, his wife. And
believed to him.
But she had to, Dad expected a lot. He wanted her to, sew her clothes or, do a lot of things for a business like a farm. She had to pick up on things pretty fast.
How old was he when they met?
28.
Okay, so he was a little bit older, about 10 years older?
Yep.
Or something?
They were 10 years apart.
Yeah.
10 or 11, something like that.
Yeah. But in a way, I kind of see it as a little bit he could kind of take care of her too. And she'd kind of been left to not really have that provision.
Right. Yeah. She had some tough times. Yeah, she had to, you don't get necessarily treated well in that culture, it's post-World War II or whatever. So food was scarce and you were seen as an extra mouth to feed. So then she, got treated like you're just an extra person that we have to bear as a burden almost. So then times were, that way. So, and then she'd get sick and they wouldn't take care of her, she got a toothache or
so hard.
She had some really difficult. So as a person to come out of that, I just am amazed. She had a heart of gold and she would never hurt anything. She was just very, Yeah.
And it sounds like she became a very attentive mother.
Yeah.
Because she had missed a little bit of that. Right.
Yep. Yeah. So she threw all herself into her family, and that was her, like, everything, us kids.
She went from kind of no family really to now she's building a family.
Right.
And that can be her grounding place. So.
Right. Yep. She grew from that to the grounding of a family. And I remember she said something about my oldest sister that, I can't believe, you're mine. I got this baby.
Oh.
So that was kind of neat. Like, wow, what a gift.
I remember I always wanted to be a mom, and I was 27 when I had my firstborn, and had a little bit of a career before that, and went to college and everything. But I remember we were out in Washington. I had this little pack that I put them in, they had those little packs. And I remember catching my glimpse in the mirror going, this child that was inside of me, like, now here he is. He's like, I'm a mom. It was just like a moment, like, I'm like, oh, wow.
Yeah. To see him outside the tummy.
Yeah.
You see this tummy and it's hard to believe.
Like, I know. It's like, holy cow. And he was a big baby, 9 pounds. So I was like, how did that happen?
Yeah.
But it was just like that. This is my dream. Here it is.
Yeah.
This is the month where we celebrate mothers, and they're so special.
Yes.
So
they're so special.
Yeah. What are some things that she taught you? Like, what are some like faith practices that you remember that like have kept you tethered to God yourself? Because you have a very strong faith. You're very tenacious about that.
She always was the rosary was daily. That was really important. And then, daily mass and contributing to the church in any way, shape, or form, whether it be monetary, or I could see that check being written out every Sunday. She was just making sure that got done every time that stuck out my mind. And then just how, she got so involved in all the organizations in the church and wanted to just... And the priests she'd be like their right hand doing whatever. That's, watering the plants. I don't know. She just was, and she'd take it upon herself if somebody else wouldn't be there to carry the groceries down the stairs for the luncheon or whatever. She'd just do it herself. She just liked to take care of things. So I think when we graduated from high school, then she really got involved with the church a lot more because she was able to, and she just threw herself in there.
I can imagine her, though. I worked at our church for a little bit, and there was a mom that had, I think, 8 girls. And so her youngest 2 by then were the last 2, and she like watered plants and stuff at the church, and she'd bring her 2 little girls, and I can imagine, like, she brought you to some of those things, too. Like, you were her little shadow buddies, I'm sure.
Yep. Yeah. So much growing up on the farm was a ways away from church, from Fergus Falls. But that was, I don't remember as much of that on the farm because the most dedication was going to the farm at that point. But when we graduated from high school, and then she moved to the Battle Lake, and then that was where she got a lot more involved with the church.
So while we're talking about your mom, I know it hasn't even been a year since she passed, and you were right there, and that took a lot of your time and energy and everything that you had, but you wanted to be there. Like, I just sensed that you wanted to give back, like, the love that she'd given you, and you just have such a tenderness for your mom, and but that was hard. And so, again, we're talking about hope and suffering. As you were going through those last months with her, where did you find hope? It might be hard to answer that because you're still so fresh from it, but...
Yeah. Well, I had done, let's see, so it was about Easter time last year. She caught a virus, and then it was called RSV. And I could tell it in her voice that it was getting like a heavy voice, like, Mom, what's wrong with your, voice? And I just could pick up, and there was something really going on that didn't sound right. And she was 94 when she passed away. But it was Easter last year, and then it just kind of progressed. So she was in and out of the hospital from that point on. She couldn't recoup from that. And then, so I stayed with her about maybe 2 or 3 months, I don't know, off and on, and solidly for a month and a half until she passed away. And I've always had this kind of thing since my dad died in 2012. There's been this thing in me about the importance of birthing someone into heaven. Mm-hmm. And I got that instinct from that death of my dad. And then I did hospice work. So I would sit with dying patients after my dad died. I did that. Mm-hmm. And so then I just felt it's so important to be there with someone dying, going through that process as well as a baby being born.
Right.
And so that's where and it's a kind of an, I can't even explain it. It's just a spirit in me or something that propels me to be present no matter what is going on or how I'm feeling, so that because I need to be there.
Right, because I know some people who have run, I have a friend that died of cancer, and her brother, who was out of town, kind of just stayed away. Yeah. And she only had one brother, and it hurt her, Yeah. He just didn't want to come near. Yeah. And he came to her funeral, but it was sad to me that those last months, he didn't want to come around. Yeah. It just broke my heart, Right. And so I think there's those two responses. You're either going to run or come near.
Stay around. Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like it's a gift, to be present. Like I want to be there. Yeah. Even at the moment of death. Like I was there through the whole thing on her last, and I feel like I have to be there. Like, and I feel rejected if I don't get to be there when they actually pass from death into heaven life, Hopefully everybody does. But,
yeah. I mean, I got to do that too, and I would have felt gypped too. I'm an experiential person. Like I'm someone I like to touch and see and say goodbye, like tangibly.
Yeah. Right.
And so, it is a haunting and such a grace-filled moment. Right. But, we don't remember all the things that our moms did for us. Mm-hmm. There's a canon of memory is how I've heard it said, which I think is so beautiful. Right. That they have about all the years with us, and they even forget some of it. But there's a canon of memory from the time that they first found out they were pregnant with us, our moms, and they're connected forever. And it's almost like there's a compulsion that you felt, this grace-filled compulsion to give just a little of that back. It's just a little. It's not nearly as much as we wish we could do. Right. But just the presence, your presence, like having your child that you brought. Okay. Now going back to the twin, were you the oldest or youngest?
I'm the youngest.
So it's like you were the caboose, right? It's almost,
exactly.
Yeah. And so like you were the last one, and now you're going to like lead her. Wow. That's so beautiful. But I know it was hard. Yeah. So talk a little bit about that. Yeah. And also though, in that hardness, in that suffering with her, because I was thinking about you. I know you really suffered with your mom. Yeah. And I heard recently something that there's a point at which when we're suffering with someone that we enter into the suffering. Yeah. And I think we do that with our children and our moms and dads and other loved ones, but it's hard.
It's hard.
But there's something beautiful about it because that's compassion, that's love, Right. And they've certainly suffered for us, right?
Yes. Yep. They certainly suffered for us. And that's was my piece to bring to her, to know that she's not going through this alone. I'm there with you every step of the way here, so that she didn't have to feel that way. And I hope that she felt that way with my presence there. And
I'm sure she
would say when I'd sit beside her, she would say, "Oh, I'm so happy," or "I like to see you reading your book," or she'd make a comment. And as we were together, and I try to get her outside for a little bit, or different things that occurred in that time. But there was to see somebody suffer physically is a it's like agony in the garden, because the outcome is not going to be a good outcome. It's going to be, the end of the life. And
it's your mom.
And it's your mom. So you have this unique, you got this attachment, or you feel like you're them in a way. Like, and so it's really, over the top.
Yeah.
Not like, I would imagine like your child.
Yes.
In a way, that's the next relationship that would
Yeah.
be the same kind of like feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I felt really awful with my dad too, but I guess but then my mother was still there. So, but now with my mom passing, then it was more like you're an orphan. You feel kind of like an orphan.
And her husband wasn't there. Like, it's like the kids are the
Right.
ones to usher you
Yep.
into the next life.
Yep. So my brothers were attentive. They were helping a lot too. And so when I called on them, there was one moment that it was my lowest of low. I didn't know if I could do it anymore because it was so fragile, and I just felt like, wow, this burden is, it's not a burden, but it felt like it was really weighing on me, like heavy. And I called my brothers, and they both came right away to the home, and because the Brown home in Fergus Falls is where she passed away, and they could sense that I needed some backup because I would see her suffering and the health. And I'm a healthcare worker. I've worked in clinics, and my sense of I want to help someone get better, and it's different. It's a very different process. Yeah, to sit with somebody going through that.
But then they came in like this strength that you needed from your brothers,
Right.
which were your siblings, which that's also their mom.
Right.
And just their presence. Like,
Right.
did it lift you up then to keep going?
Yes. Yeah, that helped.
Wow.
So I just had that one really severely low moment going through the whole thing. And my brothers would say, well, you don't have to stay here and sit with her. And I'm like, no, I do have to stay here and sit with her. I have to. This is how it's supposed to be for me with her.
But just them saying that and being there present, like, helped
definitely.
you get to that next point.
Yes.
Wow.
My
we are
brothers, my family, definitely we're solid. Like we back each other up. So
We're so interdependent. Like, this is a family thing, and their part was different than your part, and
Right.
yet their part was so crucial
right.
in this fragile, holy moment, really.
Right.
They're holy moments as we're
Yeah.
getting ready to send off our loved ones to God.
Yeah. And the priest at her funeral, said he was just like even the Brown home couldn't believe how our family was just so present to her. All of us, like it was something they'd never seen before, kind of. Like they were, because there's so many people that don't have anybody caring for them in those moments of passing away. And, I just don't even understand that.
Yeah.
Because family is so important to me.
You were really connected, and it was love. It was love, and love just does what it does.
Right.
And it's like it bound you all together, and you all like had a different part to play in that. But you were very central. You're like in the front row.
Yeah.
and it was hard. It was hard too. Like, that was hard. But so in talking about hope and suffering, one of the hopes is eternal life, right?
Right.
This isn't the end. And yet that does not mean it's not harder than heck,
Right.
Like, even when we have that reality, it's still a lot of unknown, and you're still having to say goodbye to someone who was like your lifeblood.
Yeah. Yep.
So,
very much so.
But where did you find hope ultimately? And I know you're still working on that because grieving's a process, but where are you finding hope? I know recently you said you're starting to feel a little bit of that coming to you, like just a little bit of the, the resolve.
Kind of the resolve. I just had to go through different phases when it was, quite a bit of depression at first with the first 6 months, kind of a hardness there, the reality of that person being gone, not being able to go there to see her, visit with her anymore. And so then I think as time goes on, it's just time heals all. And then you just start to focus on other things and realize, I'm going to be okay. Doesn't mean I don't miss her just as much, and there'll be little flare-ups here and there, but time goes better, and your faith in God, of course, will be, he'll support you and get you through it. He always does. Brings you to it. He'll get you through it. So, and I know she's in a good place, and I felt very blessed to have such a great mother. And look at that gratitude of, wow, I had great parents. So I would never, ever give that back. I mean, just to have those, I mean, Dad died when he was 92, Mom died when she was 94, and just to have that blessing to be with them. And
yeah, definitely. And I know we can add some hope in this story that you've shared recently. There's some hopeful something happening in your life, and it's just such a way that God keeps life going, right? And you want to share a little bit about that?
Oh, yes. So I'm going to be a grandma pretty soon.
For the first time.
Yes. Yeah. So actually this month of May, so the baby's due, it's a little boy. My son Ryan and his wife Quinn are going to have a baby boy due May 24th. So we're anxiously awaiting that arrival. And so I was like thinking, May 29th would be a good date.
They're a little bit late.
My mom's birthday, but I'm sure Quinn would not want that to happen. But so anyway, and then I have another baby grandson that is also due with my oldest son, Jordan, and his wife, Isabella, and that's in August. So yeah, it was like, wow, I very like God is giving me back what I'm missing. And now I have that to focus on to be a grandma and experience that whole piece.
There's something so grounding, I think, about new life in light of death.
Right.
Because it's like, it's just, it's like the seasons.
Right.
Right? Like winter comes and then spring, which is where we're at right now. And all this new life coming, we have to grieve like the end of, the nice weather and hunker down for winter and deal with whatever we have to go through. And then, then there's buds on the trees and the little birds have little eggs
and the lambs and all the things that come out.
That is so hopeful. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the hope of spring and as a farmer's daughter, and now also you live on a farm now.
Yeah.
You're very in tune, I'm sure, to new life and to things springing forth into the seasons. And I'm sure that brings hope.
Oh, yes.
Too.
Oh, yeah. That's a big part of it. And the uplifting part that, wow, God has given me a gift, two little gifts coming in life and what I just went through with my mom. And I'm like, wow, I love him. He just keeps taking care of me all the time.
But that doesn't mean he won't let us go through some things, right?
Exactly.
But it's about perseverance. It's those who persevere through the end. So we just have to keep going and trusting even when it seems dark. And,
it's persevering. And I just understand, like I've always understood, God does what God does. And, He's a good father, and he's always there for us. He'll never leave us orphaned, and never give up hope. If you're in those down, dark moments of life, that he's just will bring you through it. And
So I think that's something for me. The presence of God and the presence of love. There's been different times, and I would say COVID was one of those times where I kind of was like, where's God? Where did he go? Wait, are you going to abandon us? And there's different times in the Bible that we're going through right now where he's leaving.
Yeah.
He was here, he died, resurrected, and then he's like present he wants to like make sure we're good. And then he's like, okay, I'm going to leave again.
Right.
And those moments, like I have this pang in my heart, like, no, don't go. I'm a tangible, experiential person. And so like, don't go, Jesus. But then he that's one of the things I think when you were with your mom, because the presence of God and people in love are so important to us. Like it is for me. Like I need to know I'm not alone. I had almost a twin because I had my sister that wasn't much older. You had your twin. So we're used to going through life accompanied. Right. And we have our husbands and we have our kids. But there's moments where we feel a little bit alone,
Right.
So to me, that presence is so important. I think that's what was your drive, because I feel that same drive. Like I don't want anyone to die alone. Like that is just horrifying. And there are people that go through that, but then we have to know that God even would provide in that moment. You know what I mean? Because he's there, because he can transcend all of that. But when he can, he uses us to be that presence.
Right.
So,
So maybe that's part of it, that like you said, like you're used to your sister. I was used to always having a presence with me. So then I have that feeling of like, that's important.
Yes.
That she should always have that too. So I suppose that stems from that. I didn't even think of that actually. So that's
I've thought of that in terms of my sister because she was, even though we weren't twins.
Like I haven't known any different.
Yeah.
I've always been with somebody all my life.
And I've seen it like as kind of a vulnerability in myself that I always need to have someone. But I think it's because I always needed my sister. I mean, when she was a year older, I remember she went off to something at the library without me. And that just crushed me. Like she was starting to separate already. And she went to kindergarten the year before I did. And I'm stuck at daycare. My parents were teachers and she's gone. My world left. So I think I'm always trying to get back to that. I'm always trying to get back to that accompaniment, which is that's how we were made.
Right.
You know? We were made for each other.
Yeah. And I think too with my sister too, my twin, when you talk about your sister going to the library and, being apart, like we got separated in elementary school right away because we were identical twins. So then she got in a different section of the school and I was in a different section.
Was that traumatic kind of?
They kept us separated because we look so much alike.
Yeah.
I don't know why they did that.
They don't do that necessarily now. I think it's the choice of the mom or whatever. But back then,
I would imagine so. But back then they did that.
Yeah.
But they noticed she wasn't acting right, or there was something going on that she wasn't responding right, or then they figured it out that she was a twin.
Oh.
And so, because we were separated. And so in our relationship, though I'm the youngest one and I'm kind of more the oldest one.
Okay.
I don't know. We're just, our personalities are different. So then I'm more the caretaker type. And she would say that too. So, but anyway, so that was an interesting thing. But I noticed when you talk about the difference, when I noticed the difference with us growing up, was when, all of a sudden our neighborhood boy shows up at our place to go on a date with my twin sister.
Yes.
So things started changing about high school or so.
Yep.
Up until that point, it was like, I didn't notice anything. But then from then on out, then it changed.
Yeah.
Everything changed after that.
I remember when my sister got a boyfriend too, I'm like, this is weird. Like, oh my heavens. Like, I'm not the only person, now.
Yeah. And so it was
weird.
Very different. And that's when that was kind of like a little bit of suffering comes in with twinship because you just think you're supposed to be the exact same and then you're not. And it's hard for her and it's hard for me.
Yeah.
So
and
it's
in a way,
a piece of suffering that we deal with that is unique to twins. I don't know if other twins experience that, but you love each other, but yet society or your life, who you are is not going to be identical. You're going to go on separate total journeys, but yet you kind of feel like you're supposed to be together in the same. It's just really interesting.
Well, it's interesting if you think about it from God's perspective, as far as we're all unique, right?
Right.
And yet you look the same and you came into the world at the same time and everything. And it's wait a minute. Yeah, there is another layer of having to sort of figure that out.
Right.
And
your DNA kind of makes you respond to things the same. You like things the same, like different, clothes. You want to have the same clothes.
And yet you're different.
But yet we're different,
you're not the same.
And so it's a little
interesting.
Really interesting.
It's fascinating. Yeah, it is fascinating. So we talked about hope and suffering with your lovely mom, and I'm so happy that we got to honor her. And and then you're a mom, and you've had some hope and suffering with your children way back in the beginning. So do you want to share a little bit about kind of a traumatic situation that happened with your son when he was a baby?
Yes. Derek, my youngest son, he was 6 weeks old, and my other children got a virus, and there was pink eye attached to that, and it kind of hopped to each child really fast. But I was unaware. So he had pink eye, my baby infant at 6 weeks old. So then I took him to the doctor, and so it kind of went away. They gave him medication and everything, and then I took him home, and it was going on, and there was all of a sudden I noticed, he had blood in his diaper, and then I took him back to the doctor, and they're like, well, I think it's from the nursing. And then I just kept thinking, this doesn't seem right. But we went to doctor after doctor, and they just nothing was getting better. And so then it came to the point of no return where we were up all night with him in pain. And so we went into the hospital, and they did x-rays, and they said there was all these spots, and he had an intussusception, which was his intestine was telescoping on itself. So that was where the blood was coming from. And so I, at this point, was looking at all the x-rays, and I used to work in x-ray at this hospital, and the doctor was telling me all these things like, why didn't you get him in here sooner and all this? And
oh, great. Make you feel bad.
I just was melting because I felt like, I was probably the worst mom ever, but I couldn't even process what was happening. And so they took him to surgery right away.
Oh, my God.
And whisked him off.
And so, you have 4 boys, and this was number
4.
4. So your little baby.
The little baby. Yep. Yeah. So this was my 4th son. So I have 4 sons. Yeah. Jordan, Ryan, Blake, and Derek. And so that was a definite moment of suffering there for me. So I did not know what to think. And my husband too, Jeff, we were hanging out in the hospital. I came to a moment where while he went to surgery, I didn't know if he was going to live or die because, it was really scary, but I just handed him over to the Lord. And I said, God, you take him, do with him what you want. This is what I told him. I do whatever you want. And so then the surgery was done, and they came back to us and said there was nothing there to do, and his appendix got taken out.
Oh,
the surgeon said there was nothing to do.
Wow.
And in the meantime, my mom was driving up from Fergus Falls to Fargo, and she was praying the rosary right away for him. So I attribute that to Mother Mary interceding. It was a miracle. It was, we can't explain what happened there because it shouldn't have been like that. My pediatrician later told me, this is not typical of how these cases come out. Wow. They would be wearing a bag or, because they got to do stuff with the intestine cut or whatever. And it was a definite, very scary. Mm-hmm, yeah, very scary.
And there was your mom on her way to be with her
trooper mom with her rosary.
With her baby.
Yeah, definitely. She was there for all of us at all the time. Yeah.
That moment where you surrendered your child, that's a key moment, I think. Mm-hmm. I know I have to remember this all the time, that the more we surrender and give our lives to God, the more he can do for us, because otherwise we're clinging on and we're trying to do it ourselves, and he can't really work that way. But yet to get to that point, we have to really trust that in something that we can't see.
Right. Yep.
And in that moment, that's so crucial because that's your baby that you just carried for 9 months, and to give that over is not easy. Do you remember how you did that? What allowed you to do that, do you think?
I think I got to the point I surrendered because I was fighting it the whole time, really intensely trying to think of how to help, or kind of perfectionist ways, just trying to get through that mind. I just kind of looked out the window, and I got to the point of no return. I was just flattened out. I couldn't even process things anymore. It just came to the point of where I'm just flat. I can't handle this anymore. That's where God will step in my life. And he knows that because I've had this happen before. And that's where I know God is there for me. I don't even know why I deserve that, but he shows up in those moments where I can't even walk or think because of the pain or whatever's happening. That's where he comes in. And what a blessing that is.
Yes, thank God. Like you said, what a good father. Well, there's a couple more stories we want to talk about. You've gone through some personal health issues, and then I want to talk about our time in Indianapolis that we had together a couple years ago. So we will be right back with Joanne Poehls on Matters of Soul Importance after this.
Local news affects your life. It gives you the confidence and clarity to make better decisions every day. You can support that with a digital subscription. Visit inforum.com/subscribe to take advantage of our introductory offer, just $6 for 6 months.
Welcome back to Matters of Soul Importance, Joanne. We are talking about hope in suffering and what does that look like? You're a great example of that. From the moment I met you, you just had this really strong faith, and I think that's something we want. We want to be able to move through things and know that we're being cared for and have that assurance. And that's just deep within you for all the different reasons you've been sharing. But you did go through a serious health issue, and it's like ongoing. We all have these things, like as we get older, it's like, I don't know where this is going, but share about your cancer journey.
Yep. So I got a diagnosis of anal cancer in 2019, the fall. And so with that, there was quite a journey. My doctor had said I'd actually had the tumor a long time before it was found. And I don't know how long, but I was 55, and my doctor prior to that was really on me about getting a colonoscopy. And I didn't understand why she was so rushed about that. But I kind of wondered if that was a little prophetic there. So I delayed it. And then, but anyway, on that whole piece, like God was there for me in that whole journey also. So I got diagnosed in 2019, and I had to go through chemo and radiation. And my doctor decided no surgery for me at that time, and which was a good decision. So anyway, prior to that, finding that tumor, I was on a prayer team at St. Anne and Joachim, and I was in training to pray over people at that church. And there was a time when we had to go into a group, and we went to a small group. There was 3 of us, and one of the prayer members, I got prayed over, and they wondered, he said, I don't know, I don't have any words for you, but I am getting a vision. And this is a pivotal part of this journey, because this little moment in time gave me the greatest strength ever to get through this whole thing. So this was like very meaningful for me. It helped me with the whole struggle of this cancer diagnosis. And this gentleman, young guy, he says, I can see you hiking up a mountain, and the mountain is overturning and you're underneath it in the shadows. And then he added, but there's a bright sunrise above the mountain. So that's where we left it. And I didn't tell anybody after that experience of that prayer session. So that was in training for that prayer team. So anyway, then that whole year, I was experiencing irritable bowel syndrome, type. I'd had that diagnosis, so I was experiencing different symptoms with that, more intense. So then I thought it was just part of that. So I never really did get to be on that prayer team because of that. But okay, so that was in the fall of 2018. And then, so I kept that prayer, or what that vision was, in my head the whole time. I thought I was like in spiritual darkness or something. I didn't know what was happening there. I knew it was a communication of some sort. And I didn't tell anybody. Like, I think I should have told the team lead, because she would have had an idea, I think, of what was that meaning? What was that was all meaning? I can almost see it in my mind, like that vision of what he was even talking about. So then after that, then it was the fall. And then I was going through different things and just ignoring it. And then by the summer, that next June in 2019, then I knew there was something going on in that area, like a fullness I could feel. So then I went to I went to adoration the night before I went to the doctor to see about that, because I knew it was going to be something really bad. So I had to go talk to Jesus. I'm like, Jesus, I have to go see Jesus. So I did. And then there was another prayer gal at our church. Sherry was there the last hour of the day. and she was doing adoration, and I wanted to be alone with Jesus, just me and
I get
him.
like that too. Yeah.
Like, I just want to be alone with Jesus, because I know something really, really, I didn't know what it was at that point. I knew something was going on, but I didn't know for sure. And so, but then Sherry kept coming and she said, I got to pray over you and give you some prayers. And I'm like, okay. And then she'd go sit back down and then she'd come back over to me. And I was just felt very, I thought that was really nice that she was so attentive to me in that moment. So I didn't really understand that whole part either. So then she said, let's go up to the monstrance, because she did see people that she was praying for in the host. Jesus, she said, kind of mystical. And I said, okay, I can do that. I think I just didn't really know what to expect. And I looked in the host and I did see something, and it was Mary, and in my heart, and her silhouette, and it was clouds. It was a picture. And I knew that her and Jesus were praying for me with my diagnosis. Oh. So then I went to the doctor the next day, and then I found out.
Okay.
And the journey begins.
Wow.
So then that was in June, and then July, August, and then by the fall, then I had my, I got a port put in, then I had a chemo and radiation.
Wow.
Yep.
How did you stay hopeful through that? Because
that was really
my mind
hard.
tends to go to the dark.
Yep. It was
my life's over. I might as well start planning my funeral. That's where I just kind of freak out. And things like that.
Yeah, and that's where I kind of just let go and let God. I just don't even I think, like, I was given a couple books and stuff for cancer patients, like mindfulness, like thinking just in the next moment.
Yeah.
Not thinking out or, ahead future. Yeah. But I had, like you say, it's hard not to go there, to go real deep and think. And I guess I just trusted God that He's going to do what He's going to do with me, and whatever the outcome is going to be, that's what it's supposed to be. So,
and we have that, I think there's a lot of saints that we hear their stories, and that really helps, because that surrender that they have showed us, and we don't know how it's going to turn out. There are miracles, and you're sitting here today. Yeah, I know. In 2026. Yeah. And now you get ready to be a grandma.
And here I am being a grandma. So I'm very thankful for that. It's so neat. But it's my faith-based. I just have that. I had that innate sense of, like, this is, I don't even know how I got that, but it's just there. It's just there. Yep.
Pure gift.
Pure gift. And to get through that, like I said, it just kind of, there was, dark moments where, I went through the chemo. I got real sick from it. And because I wasn't eating and drinking like I should be, because chemo, you want to keep it moving through your body. So I learned how to take my sick meds. And because the nurse wasn't really telling me quite how to do it. Because there's so much to process. Yeah. There's so many things coming at you that you kind of feel like you can't keep track of everything. Yeah. And, you have to be your own teacher and kind of, in a way, your own
nurse,
advocate.
Which I don't want to do that. Can someone just tell me how to do it?
I know. Because you're on the end of, like, gosh, I got to survive, or I got to feel like, what I'm doing.
You're the most invested in your survival.
Right. And then with that vision of that prayer, and I always felt like God gave me this team of doctors. So I really trusted my team, that knowing they're going to help me do really well. And then I had lots of prayers from people, like my church was praying for me, and just lots of things going on in that time frame. And just even things that people would say, or how they would even, like, my boss would say something, even the little statements that people would make led me to know I'm not going to die. And, not just it was just all these little things, you encounter during that time frame.
I was thinking, my husband has gone through 2 open heart surgeries, and it was the second one that was just feeling really scary, because the first one didn't take, and now he was in this other compromised place, and now he's going to have to go through a second open heart surgery. Yeah. He saw it open a second time. It was super scary. But there was someone from my hometown that they had their whole family were very, very faithful. And she sent something, it was like through Facebook or whatever. it was a declaration of his life and that he was going to live.
Oh, okay.
And it's just like, I needed that,
Yeah.
And she was right.
Right.
And it's like, sometimes, I mean, we can't just will ourselves to, it's God's will. But there was something about that confidence that she had. And she's just like, I just need you to know this. So I know what you mean.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I'm just going to accept that.
Yes.
And,
yes.
And there's the hope there again.
And your community, really holds you up with all their prayers, and everybody's, boosting you up or coming in at different moments. Like one doctor texted me right before I went into my first chemo because I was terrified because, you hear about that, how it's what it does and all that. But she said, you got this and you're going to be great. And she had gone through cancer.
Wow.
So her timing of that was just phenomenal.
That was a deeper level than just reaching out to a patient.
Right.
But she had gone there. And again, when we suffer, we can give that to others. There's a whole deeper level now. And now you can give that to others that are suffering too.
Right. I can provide that support and, know all that. And it is, now it's my gift so that I can hand it on to whoever is in need next.
One of the things you have said a couple times, I think now, that God's going to do what God's going to do. Wow. Like that is such a solace because I'm a planner, and that's why I get anxious if I don't know, right?
Yeah.
But God has been here before the beginning of time. Like he's outside of time. We wouldn't be here.
Right.
There would be nothing. We wouldn't be sitting here right now.
Yeah.
So he's amazing, and he's outside of this world, and he knows all.
Right.
And he knows our story, and he loves us.
Yep.
But there is that surrender is that we are going to die,
Yeah.
and he knows exactly when.
Yeah.
And that's.
Yeah. He knows your journey from beginning to end.
Yeah. But he also knows what he wants us yet to do on this earth. And, I used to be scared. Like I loved flying until I became a mom. And then if I had to be separate, I was just like, oh my gosh, if the plane goes down and my kids are going to be,
Right.
I hated that. But there was a moment where I'm like, you know what? God knows if I'm supposed to go, if this is it for me. But I had this thought of like, nope, he has more for me to do,
Yeah.
And then I just was like, okay, it's just up to him.
Yes, it's just up to him, and we just don't worry about it.
But God's going to do what God's going to do. And that's a positive. I mean, it seems like, oh, this God is doing whatever. No. He loves. He is love.
Yes.
He loved us into existence. So he's not going to abandon us. He will allow us to suffer, but he's going to be there with us.
Yeah. And I do take comfort from the saints, like you said, and even like Michelle Dupont. I mean, and that, like Carlos Acutis, the joy that it's just a whole different level of being on earth where, if you can get to that level, that's always been my goal. I want to get to that level where it's just, to understand. But it's just a goal of mine so I don't have to be so worried or distraught or I'm going to be okay all the time.
Well, you have a beautiful joy about you, Joanne, and I just have been a beneficiary of that, so I'm so grateful.
Me too, likewise.
And speaking of that, like one of the things I think when you get to our age, I'm late 50s, and you feel like your friends are kind of already established, but however many 4 or 5 years ago when we got to be friends, and it's like, there's another friend that God provided, and we had a really fun, unique experience. We got to go to the Eucharistic Adoration, Eucharistic
Congress.
Revival, and it was a big event. It hadn't happened in a lot of years. They used to have these events that would draw like thousands of people. And they had one in 2024, June of 2024, I think, or July. Yeah. And I was supposed to go with my husband. It took a long time to get him to commit to that. He takes his time with these decisions. So I was so excited. But then some things happened at home, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know if he'll be able to go. We're going to be leaving next week. Yeah. It got really serious. And you and I are in like a book study, a spiritual book study group. And it was just the two of us one night. And I was starting to feel like this is not going to happen. I was just getting so stressed. And you prayed with me that everything would work out. Yep. And then as we're walking out the door, you said, if it doesn't work out, I would go with you. And I thought, well, you work full time. Like that's impossible. But okay, right. Yeah. I'll just put that. That wasn't my plan A, but I was like, okay. It was kind of like, oh, okay. Yeah. Well, then over the weekend, it became clear that Troy wasn't going to go. And what allowed me to like let go of that dream that I had was that you had let me know that maybe you could take his place.
Yeah.
And by a gift of God, somehow it worked out. And
Right.
you in a very short amount of time, were able to arrange to go with me. So we had a wonderful time.
Yeah.
I think
It was awesome.
yeah, I think my husband would have been worried the whole time, and so it would not
Yeah.
have gone as well.
Right.
And it was so
Everything
funny.
happens for a purpose,
Yeah.
right?
It was so funny because you had his name tag.
Yeah, I
So
remember that.
You were Troy for the
Yeah.
whole week. Yeah,
I was.
But
I felt a little goofy that way, but
it's funny, but it kind of reminded us like God's
Yeah.
plan, not our plan.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. And then I got to meet some really big wigs like Dr. Edward Sree and
Yeah.
Scott Hahn and
Oh, my heavens.
all those people. Bishop Cousins was there, of course, because he headed the whole thing. And
The DuPongs, we got to see the
DuPont
Michelle's parents. Yeah.
And got to see that. And Jonathan Rumi was on stage.
Yes,
and all
yes.
these,
And
great
Jesus.
singing. And of course, Jesus.
Because we were in this huge arena for a lot of the sessions,
Yeah,
and we
in
were way up in the
Indianapolis.
nosebleeds.
Yep. So,
then-
what is that called? The football dome or whatever they have down there.
The Lucas Oil Stadium
Yeah,
or whatever.
Lucas
It
Oil
holds
Stadium.
60,000 people. And
Yeah.
but then there was one night that we got to go on the floor. I had a friend
Yes.
that was saving spots on the floor, and we got to go down there.
Yes, that
share
was
a little bit
great.
about what it was like to go through the streets of Indianapolis, because basically our group of 55,000 people on fire for Jesus
Yes.
just kind of took over the city for those
Right.
days. Do you
Yeah.
want to share a little bit about what that was like?
Yes, that was so heavenly. Like we were all like one spirit. And everybody was just joyful and excited and just like we were all just family. And we were, protected. We all got to go to the churches or go to the talks and just running around the Indianapolis streets. You didn't have to fear anything because it was like everybody would see the same people or with the same bags we were holding that were part of the convention or the Congress. And it was just so delightful. So delightful.
And I sensed that they were happy we were there. I know the
Yeah.
people in the restaurants were just happy that we were there,
Yes.
of course, because they were patronizing their businesses, but they
Yeah.
were truly like grateful.
Yeah.
And also just all of even the street people and everything. And there was just this joy. And I think it was the intermingling of the city people that were already there and then us, because if it was just us, that would be
Yeah.
fun, like a retreat.
Right.
But like we were connecting with the people.
Right. Yes.
And having these like exchanges and of love,
Right.
And
Yeah.
I just don't know if I'll ever experience something like that again. I don't know
Right.
that I could, because it was so unique.
Yeah,
And
like I remember that deacon praying over that one. She was a staff worker at the Lucas Oil Stadium.
as we were going
and
in.
that image, wow, I just thought, wow, what a gift. I mean, we're just bringing Jesus to everybody or representing him. And, this is a good guy.
Like she just went to work that night.
Yeah,
and
she
did
just
not
went
know
to
there was
work and-
something. And all of a sudden it's like I sensed that her life had changed.
Right.
Like something had happened in the Holy Spirit.
Yeah, we were just flooding the streets with, whoever was there is going to encounter Christ, you might say.
It really
So-
was a glimpse of heaven. And of course,
Yeah.
Heaven that extends, and this was a moment in time, like this week or whatever. But it's like, I always want to come back to that because it was just exhilarating.
Yes.
So I'm
it
so
was.
happy.
And I'm so thankful that you allowed me to go with you.
Yes.
Because it would have been on my heart for 3 years.
Yes.
And I was definitely wanting to go. And I thought, I've got to get there. But it kept getting pushed aside for different reasons. We had a wedding in the family. One of my sons got married. I'm like, there's just too much going on. I'll not get to go. And
there
so
it was.
kept on showing up. It wouldn't let me go. And I even had visions of like following the bus the bus we left from Fargo, driving to that Indianapolis city. It was that intense for me. And so I also learned in my life, when something shows up like that it's not going to go away, and I will be doing what I should do. And I did.
God will make arrangements.
And so that
He
3
put that
days
there.
before we took off, and I had to square it away with my boss and say, "Is it okay if I do this?" And I'm taking off for a week, and so she said, "Sure, right away." And just all the planets aligned. And
we had some issues. We had a bus that broke down and a couple of things along the way, but it just made us more eager to be there. And when we were there, just to like take in that joy.
Seminary, Chicago, that seminary school was
Cardinal.
Really,
I'm trying to think.
a really neat place.
Yes, in
Seminarian.
Chicago.
Outside of Chicago.
And then the St. Maximilian Kolbe Shrine, that national shrine, and it was amazing.
Yes, it was.
Well,
so great.
Thank you. I just wanted to like relive that a little bit. But you have something that you brought today to kind of honor your mom, I think.
So I have a little, some words that I thought really reflect how I feel with my mom, with her death. So it goes like this. Losing your mom isn't just one loss. It's 1,000 small ones that unfold over time. It's the conversations you can't have, the comfort you can't reach for, and the version of you that only existed in her presence. Wow. That's at Heal with Christy. But those were words I thought, that's a good depiction of my feelings about my mom and anybody's mom.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
I haven't lost my mom, but I have lost my mother-in-law not that long ago. And it really was 2 Mother's Days ago that we saw her the last time in Fargo. So Mother's Day kind of mingles with my memories of her. Like the last time I really we went to a restaurant where my daughter works and had a little picture taken. And it's a really nice picture. And that's it. That was like really the last time I really got to hang out with her. And I had a really beautiful relationship with her too. So just the consummate mother, but she also went through cancer. So there's a lot of crossover there and had more time than she thought she would. And just because of that, every day was a gift to her, which again is another thing, hope and suffering. So,
yes, hope and suffering.
So as we kind of wrap up, this has been a beautiful conversation and I hope people are blessed by it.
Me too.
Is there any way you can sort of answer that question, which you already have, but like, what do you think hope and suffering, like if you can encapsulate it, which is almost impossible, but is there anything you can leave us with, anything that you could say about that?
I think, for me, hope has turned out with the crosses I've had that God has given me and probably more to come. I just feel like 3 words: surrender, trust, and gratitude. That's my definition of hope, I think. Because you learn to, you can't control your life, and then trust God's doing the things that He absolutely is going to do for you in all good ways. And then just give him gratitude. Like, thank you, God, you know this better than I know. For my sanctification, I can't do anything. You have everything in your hands. So that's kind of my definition of hope, I think.
I love that. And of those 3 words, the gratitude one really stands out. There's a Blessed Solanus Casey who was known for thanking God in advance. And I've started trying to pray that way. It's a radical, different way of praying. Right. The other 2 words are so beautiful. They're also like more passive, like submit, right? Yep. And then this one is more like active, like thanking God, because it's like our gratitude like expands his love, I think. And just there's something there that's generated. And so by thanking God in advance, he gives us so much more. Yeah. And then, of course, the trust and surrender, too. So that's so beautiful. Yeah.
And then I just heard about, like, the souls in purgatory. St. Faustina went there, and the 3 things they learned or they heard from them, like they said, if they would have, been on earth, the value of time and, loving others better, I suppose, and how it impacts them with, sin or whatever, and God, loving God better, like, too. Like, we don't realize how every moment, you can love God. Like, we put him aside and we don't love him as much as we should. And
those are good
some
priorities
goals to work towards.
Yes.
And the effects of, all that.
Yeah.
So, really good.
Joanne, wow, great, wonderful seeds of wisdom there. Yeah. And you've gone through a lot, but there's so much joy coming. And I'm so excited to be your friend and walk those journeys with you. So
I'm blessed to be your friend.
Thank you for being here today.
You're welcome. Thank you.
What does hope in suffering look like? I jotted down a phrase that Joanne used that seems so perfect for what she shared today, especially about losing her mama. The honor of birthing someone into heaven. Do we see the passage of death that way? Do we see it as an honor, a privilege, a blessing? Both birth and death, as alluded to, are passageways from one life into the next. Just as a baby must pass through the birth canal, there's a suffering, a challenge, and a lot of unknown when we leave this world. But in the best cases, the child is welcomed into a waiting world, just as Joanne's 2 grandsons will be soon. What seemed foreboding becomes a blessing, life. Likewise, we often and naturally dread death. Death was not a part of God's original plan, and it is counterintuitive. What's natural is relationship, love, and communion, not separation. Nevertheless, sin and thus death entered the world, and so it is that we must confront death, every single one of us. For those who choose to journey with and trust in God in this life, something beautiful awaits us. Like the newborn welcomed into a loving family. This life is a journey, but not one we're made to take alone. A friend recently said about life with his wife and young child, "We are on a journey together toward heaven." I love that way of thinking of our earthly lives, and I think the more we view life this way, the more fulfillment we'll experience temporarily in this life and forever in the next. I'm grateful to Joanne for sharing her beautiful insights today about life, death, and hope. What would we do without hope? We cannot survive without it. And then, once we found it, we must pass it on. For in 1 Peter 3:15, we read, "Always be ready to give an explanation to anyone who asks you for a reason for your hope." Thank you, Joanne, for giving us a reason for your hope today. And speaking of hope, happy birthday to your mama, Geneva, who came into this world on May 29th, 1931. How perfect that this episode dropped today. Well, our next guest discovered hope too, through a very difficult and confusing journey that started in her teen years. In that conversation, we'll consider the question she once asked herself and now will answer: why couldn't I, a biological woman, be a man? Until then, don't lose sight of the light.